So, hi, everybody. I'm Johnny Goldin, and I'm going to give you a little intro to who I am and how I might be of benefit to your organization, corporation, NGO. So, you get many, many, many written textual messages called resumes, but you might not have ever gotten a resume in this format, which I'm calling a video resume. And I think what they demonstrate is exactly the qualities that you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who understands diversity of all kinds, somebody who can create and establish rapport with people of all backgrounds, somebody who has humor, somebody who's articulate, somebody who can speak up, somebody who can be a public speaker and can make people comfortable. And it's not doing interviews like an interrogation. It's doing it like a dialogue. These dialogues you're about to see, there's 5 of them. Stay tuned. So, April 5th, 2025, I call it the beginning of the beginning. And the first person you'll see is a person I found pretty unusual. And I like things that are not generic. She turns out to be a Tibetan immigrant, but she's been here for a long time.
No, I'm from Tibet originally.
Well, you got courage to come. Well, you didn't type to.
It's so important just
know.
to show up for each other, you know, when something is not right. Everything. I think especially the taking of immigrants without any,
Due process.
due process.
Right.
And also the fact that blanketly getting rid of all these kinds of, programs, that
Right.
education is really important to me.
Yes.
And USID is really important in the world.
Yeah.
We're grateful to be here in the United States. We are, working people who
Right.
cares about, wherever we are, we feel like we have every right like anybody else. We are part of this community, and we want to show up for everybody else, not only for our people in Tibet.
Cool.
And what is...
This is a podcast. They call it chutzpah and soul. Chutzpah is a Jewish word that means audacity.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we've got audacity right there.
Yes, because my late husband was Jewish American, and he had a lot of
A
chutzpah.
chutzpah? He did.
He did.
Can you say that again?
Chutzpah.
Mental health worldwide is in crisis. For example, in the United States, they're saying that the generation, the iGen, kids who've lived now through the pandemic have the highest rate of anxiety disorders ever recorded. And that's just the United States. So what are some of the factors? They're obvious, right? The pandemic, obviously. There's an identity crisis as well, in the sense of ethnic identity, racial identity, gender identity. All the identities are in turmoil, they're in crisis, they're in transition. There's a crisis about empathy. There's a crisis in the lack of empathy shown by systems. Going back to the loneliness crisis, in Great Britain, a number of years ago, they actually created what was jokingly called a minister of loneliness. And it was actually a woman was appointed, and they've continued to use it. They recognize that lots and lots and lots of people are living lonely lives, and that it needs to come out of the closet and needs to be addressed, and that the government can do something about it and help make people aware of it. And I think that loneliness is something that is one of the last stigmas that people have a hard time talking about. So that's part of just one little slice of why mental health conditions worldwide are in crisis. And of course, at this moment, I'm talking about a wealthy country like the United States. And just double that, triple that, quadruple that for people living in the third world. Let's roll up our sleeves and start doing something about it. Okay, immigrant rights and immigrant protection and fighting against ICE is very central to this movement. So I carried the sign that says, "We're all immigrants," which I believe in totally. In Spanish, todos somos inmigrantes. One day in East Boston, which has a large Colombian population, we met a Latin girl, a Colombian woman, who happens to be a single mother living there. and she spoke mostly in Spanish. I made a good rapport with her. So I want to ask Joanna just some question. She lives in Boston and came from Colombia. Tell me why you came to Boston or what you like about Boston, or both. Why you came and what you like.
Me gusta Boston porque es una ciudad segura para mis hijos.
Yeah.
Tiene excelentes colegios, universidades también.
What do you think about what's going on about the system, people trying to blame immigrants instead of appreciating?
Ok, yo pienso que hay mucha información, mala información en las redes sociales, en la televisión. Muchas cosas son ciertas, sí, pero terminan a veces aumentando o noticias falsas donde hacen que las personas no se sientan seguras de dónde están. Para que sí sea que vengan personas con las nuevas leyes de este señor Trump. Pienso que satanizan un poco la situación y quieren que las personas entren en pánico y no puedan vivir tranquilas en este territorio, que me parece que es un territorio sagrado. Por alguna razón, ha sido elegido para que muchos inmigrantes por años, décadas, siglos vengan a emigrar acá.
We recognize, and this is another example, that these immigrants from all over the world is what makes America a great country. A woman named Sapira Khan reached out to me through Psychology Today. She's a psychotherapist specializing in existentialist psychotherapy. Very unusual. And she saw that I mentioned that on my profile, reached out to me. We have a lot in common. She's in New York. I'm in Boston. But she has an incredible background, incredibly wide-ranging Jewish background that brings to light the whole current history and past history of the Jewish people, but also talks about existentialism, psychotherapy, healing, working in a hospice, just an incredible range. And this shows that I can go deep and philosophical and really get to the core.
Sure. So a professional chaplain, which is what I'm training to be, in this hospice in particular, this palliative hospital, goes from room to room, which is really, I call that my pilgrimage. Like I'm really making pilgrimage, going from room to room, knocking on people's doors, saying, "Oh, can I come in? Oh, no, are you sleeping? Oh," doing this kind of choreography, this beautiful dance of, am I wanted? Am I needed? And once there's an agreement, once there's a full resounding yes, I enter someone's world.
Okay, so existentialism is a very hard word to define, and people have a hard time doing that. But let's just say this. The central focus is on freedom and defining oneself and creating one's own path. We have one right here at home, and people are struggling to find words to describe it. Existential crisis is a good description. So it turns out that Sapira Khan and I are both reading this book. We're actually reading it now in parallel. It's called At the Existentialist Cafe. This book is a great introduction to that philosophy. So Sapira contacted me, reached out to me, because we're both interested in using existential ideas, existentialism, in the context of psychotherapy. And it's hard to explain, but let's just say this. We're focused on having people get below the surface, get to a meaning level about their lives, their choices, and how they see the world. We're both doing that. The third place is a place where people gather, and it's informal. They don't have to be invited. They just show up. So we went to a really cool place in Somerville, Massachusetts. It was essentially designed to be a third place village. And it's got these independent, entrepreneurial, small entities, small businesses.
Chutzpah and Soul, and we're here at Bow Market here in Somerville, and it's a unique place. Let's say it's the opposite of your typical strip mall or any kind of commercial mall. So tell me what you think in your mind when you say a third place.
I think somewhere, obviously it's not home, it's not work, but you can be yourself, right? And I think it's important, especially coming out of the last couple of years, the pandemic, being home, isolation, and then having that community around you. And I would say a good third place should probably lift you up, a place where you're not only coming to that place with your passion, but you can develop it and grow it too. So I love creative spaces like this, with a lot of people who love to celebrate whatever it is we share. So things like, you know, art galleries. I have a friend who considers vinyl shops kind of a gallery for music because you're curating, you're playing someone else's art.
That was a great visit, our first visit to Bow Market. Heard about it from many people. Why? Because it's an unusual place. We'll call it a third place.